Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Human Side of Story. I'm your host, Lingwood, founder of Purple Cloud AI. Today, our guest is Robert Guest. Robert is the principal of
Guest in
Gay,
Gray.
Guest and Gray. I combined
You're doing great.
sorry,
They'll
to
get it.
two in two
We'll
words
fix it
together.
in post.
Yes. I actually, a lot of people like this type of bloopers. One of the most successful law firms in Texas. But in 2006, he wasn't a principal. He was a prosecutor who had just been fired.
Ooh, that's true.
He had to decide whether to give up or reinvent himself from scratch. Robert, I'm so excited to talk about the human side of that transition. Welcome to the show.
Good to be here. I'm really excited to talk to you. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, first tell our listeners about your firm. Where is it located? What type of law you practice, and how big is your firm?
Okay. We're Guest in Gray. We are in Forney, Texas, and now that's east of Dallas. We're the county directly east of Dallas County, and we're like
Hmm.
the biggest city in Kaufman County, which is the name of it. We've got, I think, 8.5 lawyers, so eight full time and one who kind of helps us out on projects. We
Okay.
do family law, criminal law, election law is like our kind of wild card practice area. Not a lot of firms do it, but we've done it. I don't do it. I just do criminal law, and so I'm kind of in charge of the criminal section. And then I do a lot of the like tech stack stuff. I'm in charge of all the software purchases and stuff like that. So that all
Mm.
goes through me, and I also handle marketing. So I wear a lot
Oh,
of hats.
okay. Lots of hats. Um, so we often hear about success as a straight line, but for many of the world's most influential leaders, the journey actually started with a moment of profound humiliation. I don't know if you know one of the shark, Robert Herjavec. Before he was a tech mogul, he was a waiter. One night, his manager forced him to get on his knees, hands and knees, to scrape the gum off the floor right in front of a girl whom he had a massive crush on. Um,
Mm.
so in that moment of embarrassment, he decided he would never let someone else control his dignity again. He decided to become his own boss.
Yeah,
And you have been very open about your own rock bottom moment
sure.
in 2006 when you were fired, when
It
you walked
was.
out, when you walk out of that office. Did you feel that same spark? I'm going to be my own boss, or was it just a pure survival mode? Hmm.
Um, I'll walk you through it. We can let the readers decide.
Hmm.
It's probably pure survival mode, but I had never been fired before from anything.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so, first of all, I was like, me, they fired me, Robert Guest. Like, I had just started the position as a misdemeanor prosecutor, which is like smaller
Hmm.
offenses. I was in the office there 3 weeks. They made me the chief of the whole section. Um, and then,
Hmm.
like, a year later, I'm out. It's just all office politics. We can skip that part. But
Hmm.
I kind of had the same. I didn't have to pull gum off the floor, which that's on his boss's part. That's a weird leadership choice to make someone do that. What that sounds really crazy. But
Hmm.
I had to make money. I had student loans. I had bills.
Hmm.
I was in a
Hmm.
relationship. And I thought, what am I gonna do? And so I did apply for a couple of DA jobs, and I got some callbacks. And I thought, I don't really want to do this anymore. I don't want to have to like tell someone what I did all day or how long my lunch was, or I just naturally kind of resented being micromanaged. I always had.
Hmm.
But the courthouse was on a little square downtown. So I just walked across the street after about a week of thinking about it, rented a
Hmm.
spot, cashed out my county retirement plan. I mean, what do they say? Like you burn the boats, you're not going back. I kind of did that. So it had to work. And
Uh-huh.
I just knew like, okay, I'm going to give this everything I got and hopefully I can figure it out because man, I had no idea. I learned a lot of things the hard way. Like it's 2006. This is back when lawyers, the big move as a lawyer back then was to advertise on the the back of the phone book. Like whoever got the back of the phone book was the big deal. Like that's how long
Uh-huh.
ago we're talking. The DA's office gave us VHS tapes, like totally
Hmm.
different world. And so that's the world I jumped into to open a new law firm in a really, really small town in the county seat, Kaufman, Texas, which is very, very small.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. You so what did you do to
Oh
get
man.
reinvent
Okay.
yourself?
First of all, I mean, there's logistical things like I had to go register my business and go get a LLC formed, and I had to figure all this stuff out in the olden days, right? So
Hmm.
the local lawyers, some of them really helped me kind of get going, like with that
Well,
kind of
that's
advice.
nice.
But um, I had to build my own office furniture. I remember this. I went to Office Depot,
Hmm.
got their regular lawyer looking desk. And I couldn't pay. Like, you can pay to have this built. I'm like, I can't. So I'm sitting there with these Allen wrenches on the floor, wearing a suit in case anybody wants to hire me, building this
Hmm.
desk, right? Like, that's where I was at. And for the first 2 weeks, like, I'm just sitting there. I have no clients. I'm like, this sucks. And then I was in sharing a space with like four other lawyers. And I told them,
Hmm.
I will take anybody you don't want. I'll take anybody who walks in you don't want. And so my first big case, some guy walked in off the street. I need a lawyer right now. And I'm like, well, I'm a
Hmm.
lawyer. And so
Hmm.
I got this really big civil case. Well, I'd been a prosecutor my whole life. And so
Hmm.
I had to learn a lot really fast. And so I went to my uncle's law firm, which is near Dallas, and sat down and go, I need to learn a few things. Help me out. And
Hmm.
he was very generous with his time. Ken Guest, good dude, helped me out,
Hmm.
get going. But that was my first case. And then after that, I took all kinds of horrible neighbors fighting over chickens and like
Yeah,
whatever.
you're
I
talking
was on
about
it.
the
Yeah, if you could write
neighbor
a check for
fighting
like fifteen
chickens
hundred
over.
bucks, I was your
Uh-huh.
lawyer. So
So do they really fight over chickens, or is
well,
it
they're
just
like
a
their dogs would get
metaphor?
loose and they killed the chickens and they wanted to be made whole or something. I was like, whatever. I went to law school for this. We're doing it. We're going to get you justice for those chickens. And so I would take it. But when you start
Hmm.
out and you got bills to pay, that's how you start. But I had a lot of free time. All right. Like
Hmm.
I just
Hmm.
did, wasn't that busy. And so I started blogging in
Hmm.
2006, which was
Hmm.
nobody thought this was going to go anywhere. And I
Hmm.
remember the other lawyers I knew, they're like, you give away free legal advice on the internet? That's like the dumbest thing I've ever heard of. And so I would like have a lot of hot opinions about the state of the criminal justice system in Texas.
Hmm.
And I would sit
Hmm.
down and write. Well, Google kind of consolidated the search market. They liked what I was doing. And
Hmm.
I started ranking for searches before SEO strategy was even like a thing, right?
Oh wow.
And
Oh wow.
so I started getting a lot of cases that way. And
Uh-huh.
then people went from thinking I was silly to being, I mean, no one really wants to see you succeed, right? Especially because lawyers see, especially in a small county, like it's a zero-sum game. They think if I get the case, that was their case that some new lawyer took who doesn't deserve it. But
Oh, I
you
see.
can't do good work unless you have clients. And so I
Hmm.
learned from there real fast, and I got the cases I wanted eventually, which was criminal work, and got real busy trying
Hmm.
cases and grew it from there.
Hmm. Wow. And so what type of thing did you write about?
Oh man. So Texas is a very, very conservative state, which means our criminal
Hmm.
justice system tends to be very punitive. And when you're the defendant and something happens in court and you're like, that's not fair.
Hmm.
That shouldn't have
Hmm.
happened. You can file an appeal. Well, the appellate courts are
Hmm.
all like, all right, we have a bunch of different appellate courts. I won't bore you, but the one that makes the real decisions is
Hmm.
all prosecutors. It's all states' attorneys. And so defendants and defense lawyers just getting wrecked on stuff. And you're like, come on, man. And so I would read this opinion, get really mad and go, oh, this is bad. And I wrote a lot about like police militarization. There's a guy, Radley Balco. I'd read his stuff and kind of, do open records requests. I got known for that. I did a lot of open records work and public information work. I would go speak at conferences on how to do open records requests back when this like first became a thing. And I would write about that, and not a lot of local issues, just because there really weren't that many. It was a really still a small county at the time, but um, it was something where I would read something, react to it, and then give my hot opinion about it. I think at the end there, I got
Hmm.
had a couple thousand readers a day. I was on Blogger at first, and that's
Hmm.
throwback. And then I finally
Hmm.
got, built a website. I decode it, the HTML by
Oh,
myself
wow.
until I could afford
Hmm.
to pay someone to do it. I mean, this is the Wild West, man. You could just kind of had to figure it out. But um,
Wow.
I liked writing. I enjoyed
Yeah,
it. It was an
that's which,
outlet,
which is great. Hmm.
and it was a way to kind
Hmm.
of
It,
advocate for positions I believed in, and I wasn't a politician. I didn't think I was going to make any big change in the world, but I just
hmm.
called out
You
stuff I
will.
thought this is an injustice. These things are wrong. We shouldn't be doing them, and I mean, on some
Hmm.
stuff, like I would find out like local cops had a bad history and it was like swept under the rug. Like we had DPS trooper that I kind of ran off, and I've done that a few times, but the lengths, some law enforcement agencies will go to kind of hide records of misconduct was I'm just like, just turn it over. I mean, that's the game's up if you turn it over, but oh my gosh. And so those are some of my early
Hmm.
writing experiences were those.
That's great. I think writing does give you an outlet. Like one of my friends, she's going through relationship trouble right now. I said, why don't you just start writing poems?
There
That
you
may
go.
give you an outlet to express your sadness or something make you feel better. I don't know if
You
that
can learn a
works or
lot
not.
about how you feel about something by writing about it. And so,
Hmm.
not to just jump right
Hmm.
into AI, but I think we're going to lose something when people quit writing their own opinions because
Hmm.
you have to kind of distill your thoughts, and edit
Right.
your own
Yeah.
ideas and define your own ideas. And so you get to
Hmm.
know yourself better if you're writing something, under your own name that you believe in. So,
Mm. Really interesting. Really interesting. So, tell us more. So after that, you had a
hmm
blog, you got more work, and now you start to scale your firm. Now you
hmm
have 8.5 lawyers, which is
Yeah.
pretty
Oh
big. I
man.
mean, fairly large law firm. How did you go from a single person to 8.5 lawyers?
I'll try to just hit the highlights on this one, but
Mm-hmm.
I was a solo attorney, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I had a phone receptionist, and then my wife worked at a bank, and so I hired her
Mm-hmm.
to help me out with like, HR and or not HR,
Mm-hmm.
AR, sorry, accounts receivable, because it's
Oh, oh.
hard to like be your client's champion. Like we're gonna go and fight the state, and then they're like, "Man, I can't pay you. Can you just give me a month?" And I'd be like, "Okay," but then I was never getting paid, right? So I had to get her to be the bad guy. And so
Uh-huh.
if somebody wanted a payment extension, I would say, "You got to go into the lion's den and see my
Uh-huh.
wife." Because I felt bad for him, right? It was hard to wear the hat of
Mm-hmm.
like, give me money and let's go beat this thing, right? And so that was the
Mm-hmm.
first little firm I had. It was me and my wife, and then just one phone receptionist. And so
Mm-hmm.
I finally got settled into, instead of taking every weird case off the streets, I was doing family law and criminal law. And family law is just structured the way the cases run really different. The schedules are different, the time demands are different, and I found it hard to do both. And
Mm-hmm.
um,
Mm-hmm.
also, I had a panic attack. I was a solo lawyer doing everything at once, and I was driving to work with my wife one day, and I was like, ah, my chest is heavy. I can't really breathe. And so we called my doctor. I didn't have insurance. And he goes, go to the hospital. I'm like, I can't. I don't have insurance. I'm coming to your office. So he like did an EKG. He's like, well, everything looks good. How's work going? I'm like, oh my gosh, it's all I do. I work like 60, 70 hours a week. Like I'm the whole thing. And so I thought
Uh-huh.
maybe being a solo attorney isn't the best way through the world for me, right?
Mm-hmm.
You gotta know enough about yourself to admit when you can't do everything. And I don't, and that's, you want to
No one
specialize in
can.
something. And I didn't like running
Mm-hmm.
a law firm. I mean, it's like running any other kind of business, basically. You're selling professional
Sure.
services, but then you're
Right.
also doing them. And so
Yes.
I
Mm-hmm.
started sending off my family cases to a friend of mine, Scott Gray, my current partner, and he would send me criminal
Mm.
cases. And after about a year of that, we're like, let's just cut out the middleman and do this thing. So we merged. in 2011, guest and gray formed. It was me, Scott, his wife Tracy, who's a judge now. And then we stayed kind of growth focused. And when it came time to decide what to do, our next step was, well, like, let's just reinvest in the business, let's grow it, let's get bigger. And so now, I mean, there's a couple of two-person lawyers in the firms in the county. Most of them are solo. If there's a
Mm-hmm.
three-person firm, I'm not aware of it, but we're the biggest by
Mm-hmm.
far, and we're really proud of that.
Yeah.
But it's
That you should be
scaling a
very
law firm
proud of
is
that.
nothing like being a good trial lawyer or being a good attorney. They're completely different skill sets, man, and they don't teach you any of this in law school. So you got to learn a lot of things the hard way by wasting money and buying bad products, you know. So, but
Mm-hmm.
see, I've been a lawyer
Mm-hmm.
23 years now, so I'm kind of hitting a good stride. So I feel pretty confident in
Wow.
running it
That's it.
now. But when I started off, it was like, what am I doing,
Mm-hmm.
man? Right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, when you hire lawyers
Hmm.
to grow your firm, what are the qualities you're looking for? Do you get to pick, or do you get
Oh yeah.
pretty much take anybody who?
Um,
Ah, mm-hmm.
okay, so we've had a couple of recent hires. We look for people, we're looking for specific skill sets because we use a piece of software to run our firm. It's called Clio, and they've had this conference where you go in and they give all these speakers, but they've been telling us for about 10 years, they're like, guys, like this thing's about to change. AI is going to come in. You're going to get squeezed from the bottom by like LegalZoom and Doc Prep, and you're going to get squeezed from the top because like these accounting firms, I think it was in the UK, could start selling legal services, right? And they go, this is going to happen to you. And everyone's like, there's no way. This AI is a joke. Haha. Well, then it just hit us, right? 2 years ago, everyone
Mm-hmm.
woke up and they're like, holy shit. And so it's not, AI is not doing great legal work yet, but it's kind of
Mm-hmm.
raised the floor for like what pro ses can do and what they can draft. And so we
Right.
go, okay, let's pretend this is true, even though we're not seeing this 10 years ago. We need to
Mm-hmm.
really drill down on human face-to-face
Mm-hmm.
interaction, litigation, and advocacy. And so what is that? Well, criminal
Mm-hmm.
law, no one's going to AI your way through like a criminal trial. Family law is a lot of face-to-face
Mm-hmm.
hearings, you know, arbitration, trials, and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. That takes a lot. Even our civil cases, we try to go for, well, what has the most like in-court litigation possibilities? Because we think the stuff that's basically drafting and research is going to get commoditized. That's going to really flatten the prices on those. And so we chose purposefully to not really kind of grow those areas as much. We still have those sections, but we really focus on stuff that is, you know, contested, human
Yeah.
oriented litigation,
Yeah.
right?
Human oriented type of
So we
cases.
find people who have trial skills and court skills in the sections we practice. That's the most important thing to us. Like
Mm-hmm.
we've got a good back end, we've got a good team.
Mm-hmm.
The assistants and paralegals take care of the lawyers, keep them prepped. I just need them to be great in front of a judge or jury or talking to other lawyers. As long as they can do
Mm-hmm.
that, they can be a good fit here.
Wow. And then you mentioned that you haven't hired an intern or first year lawyer in 3 years because their
Yeah,
roles have been automated.
that's true. We used to have at least two interns from law school all the time, and it was kind of like our minor league pipeline system. And so
Mm-hmm.
um, it was good to have law students around. Like they're so curious, and the stuff
Mm-hmm.
you're tired
Mm-hmm.
of doing, they're like, "This is the
Mm-hmm.
greatest thing in the world to read this discovery for this DWI." And I'm like, "I know you love it. I've read like 1,000, right? So I know how to do it,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm just not
Yeah.
passionate about, you know, as you are." And so they would
Mm-hmm.
see this as such an opportunity, and that was
Right.
fun to kind of see their take on it. And you know, somebody gave me a chance, right? And so I always
Mm-hmm.
thought we'll give these, you know, young adults a chance. Um, Another thing I'm going to skip to though, we always paid our interns, and some law firms didn't. Way bigger law firms than us, and I'm like, you guys are just cheap people. Like you got to pay these poor law students. But
Mm-hmm.
we haven't had to do it in a while because AI is really good at like creating like timelines and summarizing documents and transcribing videos. And so where we used to give our interns, like for a criminal case, a roadmap going, note the
Right.
times on the videos this happened, note if they say this or this, note this for the stop and for the search and for the tests and for the whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Well, like Gemini can do a lot of that now. It can organize information really well. And so we
Mm-hmm.
just haven't really needed to have interns watch videos all day long. because we can get a transcript
Mm-hmm.
of it, and then the lawyers can identify what they need to look at because we can read what's being said, you know. And so we still end up watching videos for like stuff that goes to trial and stuff, but it's much more efficient because you know body cam kind of changed the game for us. When I started, I'll quit telling
Mm-hmm.
old-timey stories, I promise. When I started, like most cases had no video. It was just what the cop said happened. That's it. That's all you
Mm-hmm.
got. And then about half of them would have like a VHS tape, which was it.
Mm-hmm.
It's all
Mm-hmm.
grainy. You can argue VHS tape. Well,
Mm-hmm.
now it's like every case is like four high definition body cams and a cop cam and a cam inside the car and then two at the jail. So every case is like an 8 hour movie about a marijuana arrest. And you're like, oh God. And so you got to find a way to make that efficient, right? Or you can't charge like 20
Mm-hmm.
grand to watch 8 hours of video and
Yeah.
like stuff.
Right.
So it does help you be efficient, you know, and be a good steward of your clients' funds, but we just
Mm-hmm.
haven't needed them. And we would kind of take our best interns and turn them into
Mm-hmm.
like research lawyers. And so they
Mm-hmm.
would do stuff in civil like discovery. They could help organize that. The stuff where you have to get it right, but it's not super complicated. They could do background research on legal issues we spotted that we didn't already have the answer to.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's kind of been replaced. Like I made our first research AI product like 2 years ago when Google Notebook rolled out. And so I called it like the law professor because it wouldn't be great for like super specific fact issues, but for
Mm-hmm.
broad stuff, which most questions are, you know, what do I need to do in this situation? It would have an answer. And within Notebook, it can't really hallucinate because it's like a not a large language model, it's like boxed in language model. And
Mm-hmm.
so then we didn't need interns anymore. And I've been thinking, well, where are these law students, these young lawyers who just passed the bar going to get the experience I got? And
Right.
I
Where?
don't think we have a good answer for that. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's similar thing happen is happening in the software world. Because people like me have 20 plus years of software development experience and led large team, large projects. But the problem is now a lot of these coding skills has been replaced by AI, right? And so, people with ideas, they can actually just directly interact with these coding tools and generate software um, without an army of developers. And like if you used to have, I used to have a 60 plus dev teams. So if today using the tool probably will be like more like 20. And if you used to have a 20, maybe like five. So a lot of these students went through school, studied very hard and graduated. Now they cannot find jobs. And so we have similar issues in software industry as well. It's a hard problem to solve.
well, and
We
what
want
we,
our go ahead.
because what we see that they need is like, they need to know how a case works from start to end
Hmm.
rather than be really
Hmm.
good at like one specific
Using
part. Because
right.
being a
Hmm.
research attorney used to be a career. You could just be really good at that and go find a job like at a firm or somewhere. Like you could be the research
Hmm.
guy.
Hmm.
But right now, I don't know who that person is. And then I think on your end, because I have some friends in software, they're like, we need
Hmm.
people who can work a project from start to finish, right?
Hmm.
And then
Yeah.
help debug bad AI code more than we need someone to
Hmm.
pump out a ton of code because, and that's how
Yeah.
people used to get their first job is they'd have someone watch over them, do this program, and they'll go, okay, fix this and this, and they would have to debug it, and they would learn from that. And so
Hmm.
now you're kind of learning, well, what are the weaknesses of like Claude and all these things? And
Hmm.
it's analogous. We're both information industries, like, and the price of
It's true.
information is like going down. And so what do we do, right? So we're gonna have to start selling results, right?
Hmm.
And so our world's talking about the billable hour.
Yeah.
How's it going to
Yeah,
survive?
you mentioned. So
Yeah, and
how you predicted that hourly billing won't be survive, won't
I don't think
survive the
so. And
decade.
I think you're gonna have to. There's going to be a movement, and we haven't figured it out yet. And I've been to a lot of seminars where people try to figure it out to get away from the billable hour into like a results oriented, like you're
Hmm.
paying for an out, like not to win. We can't offer that. We can't go, I promise you'll win for this much money, but like to get this part of the case done, like to get the first hearing done in your divorce, usually like temporary orders will do this or this, something that rewards efficiency. because the hourly
Absolutely.
system, clients see it as
Hmm.
adversarial. They think we're overbilling them, we're just padding the time. It
Hmm.
doesn't really take that long, and they don't see us doing it, right? And
Hmm.
especially something like family law that's really emotionally charged. I tell our lawyers
Hmm.
this, like, our clients are paying for like catharsis or to feel safe, right? Or to feel
Hmm.
safe about their kids or their future. And we sell
Hmm.
motions and,
Hmm.
legal briefs. Well, they don't want any of that. They don't want hearings. They want to see their kids on the weekends, right? And
Hmm.
so I just wonder if this kind of reboot of the system will kind of bring the goal and the product closer together. But a lot of family lawyers are spending a lot of hours talking about how this is going to happen, and it's still they haven't worked it out yet. But someone will.
Yeah.
Someone will figure it out,
Mhm.
and we'll all probably copy them. So
Yeah. I think a few lawyers we were talking to, they are thinking about how to streamline their work so they can be more competitive, competing against LegalZoom and type of services. So be that in between layer or was that in between level, the between the lawyers who charge a ton or the LegalZoom, they want to be somewhere in between, provide the same type of service as the lawyers who charge a lot, but utilize AI and gain that efficiency to compete against LegalZoom, but also obviously bring in this human element in the mix. Yeah.
yeah, and we
So,
if you don't have a lawyer, we say you're pro se, and we're just getting a lot of AI pro se legal briefs, and they go in their chat GPT and they're like, I'm going to sue somebody,
hmm.
and they file a
Hmm.
law. It looks like a lawsuit, right? But we
Hmm.
just wipe them out because they don't know what to do with this
Right.
information. And they don't
Right.
know how a case works. Like, what are the moves on the chessboard they can make? They don't know. But their
Yeah.
paperwork looks good. But
Yeah.
I mean, will the system get good enough to guide them through it? It's going to get better. I keep telling people this is probably the worst these products are ever going to be. And so
Hmm.
if you're not
You're
threatened by
absolutely right.
today's AI software, well, in 5 years, you're going to be. And so I
It's
just,
gonna
I,
get better. Yeah.
well, there's a lot of
It's
reluctance to use it because
yeah.
all the lawyers, we get the story where the AI makes up a case and you get in a bunch of trouble and you look like a dope
Yeah.
and the judge gets on to
Hmm.
you and you're facing sanctions.
Hmm.
And so
But you
we're
should
gonna
check that though,
you
right?
can't well, yeah, you're supposed to, right? You're supposed to read all your
Right.
cases. So you get
Exactly.
lawyers who now want to be super efficient,
Hmm.
charge maybe be price competitive, right? Be super
Hmm.
fast and then pump
Hmm.
out AI stuff and just hope it's right. And that's what you're getting.
Hmm.
So you're getting people who are kind of competing on price to be the fastest and cheapest thing ever, which means they
Right.
have to just AI everything. And so
Right. Hmm.
that's just a lot of room for error. And
Yeah, you know that technology often leads to spewing stuff out and sending poorly thought through discovery requests just because they are easy to generate.
oh
Yeah.
yeah,
So how do you train your team to use AI
um,
at this time?
with the lawyers, so we
Hmm.
have a lot of group chats. We don't use Slack. We're on Google Workspace, our backend. So we use Google Chat.
Hmm. Hmm.
And we first had my AI product that I built in-house. Still proud of it. We don't use it anymore. But we switched to
Hmm.
Thomson Reuters product.
Hmm. Hmm.
But I would just show them, hey, if you have a question, look, just put this in this AI thing, and here's the longest answer you could ever want. And mine
Hmm.
can't hallucinate. There's no way it
Right.
can.
The co-counsel.
And
Hmm.
so we just kept focusing on go back, go to the AI
Hmm.
products.
Hmm.
Well, co-counsel I read somewhere gave someone a bad answer, so now we're all going oof. But I'm like, just read your cases, print your cases out, just make sure they say what they say. You're still
Hmm.
doing way faster work just reading what it highlights for you than you are
Exactly.
doing old
Exactly.
Boolean searches we all had to learn, right? Like you guys have no idea
Yeah.
how much this used to suck. But
Hmm.
so that's how we train the lawyers. We're like, just try it and trust it and use it as a jumping off point, right? Or for a
I
novel
like that.
situation, you don't know where to start on something.
Yeah.
So it doesn't need to be the
You,
end of your research, but it's always the best starting point. Because the old
yeah.
way was to kind of pool all the experienced lawyers in the office and kind of take a poll of what we all thought with our wisdom and we could disagree with each other, have different ideas. But I'm like, start with that and then bring that to someone experienced and
Starting
go,
point.
what have you
Hmm.
done that you know that works, right?
Hmm.
And so that's how we kind of talk to the lawyers about it. But the staff, they have different use cases. They're not doing a ton of legal research. What are they doing? They're like
Mhm.
writing letters, helping communications flow, helping clients and the lawyers stay in touch on task, stuff like that. And so they use more of the Gemini workspace products. So they've
Yeah.
been rolling out like Gemini works with Gmail now and works with the
Hmm.
calendar now. And so we
Exactly.
really like
Mhm.
Gemini. We had Clio's AI product. It's called Duo, I think, and we actually quit using it because Gemini was a lot better.
Really, really.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
Gemini,
if
if
you,
yeah.
I love what you did there with the Google as an ecosystem. I think that's a really, really smart route. Because Google also often it comes out new features all the time. Like, do you guys use Gym, Google Gym?
Oh yeah. So
And then now just came out. It's still in, I think, beta mode. It's called Opus, OPUS,
mhm.
Google Opus. And this one allows you to uh, define your workflow using similar, I don't think you guys know, like a Zapier or
Yeah,
NAN or Make.
if this then
So
that is the one I used to use.
what do you use?
But it was called if this then that. It was like it
Ah,
would
ah,
trigger actions between software products that didn't talk to each
right,
other. It's an
right,
old
right.
app.
Okay, and I've never heard of that, but normally the industry standard ones are NAN, Zapier, Make, but Google has its own now, Opus, OPUS, and then it can just work in your Google Workspace.
I think I got
So,
an email, I think just last week on that. On like
so so
you
I'm
have a
saying is,
meeting, it takes the meeting
hmm
notes, it emails the notes to everybody. I'm like, this is because we were doing that manually. Like this
hmm
is super sick. And so I sent out an
that's
email
it,
going,
yeah,
you'll have to turn this on right
having
now.
right.
So,
Having that the Gemini and the Google Workspace in Google's Workspace is amazing because everything is integrated, right?
well, and this is kind of to like the client acquisition phase for AI. They're trying to get you in their
Hmm.
ecosystem, right? Everyone remembers they're like, didn't Airbnb used to not suck and like wasn't Uber better like years ago? I was like it was because they were subsidizing your experience because
You're right.
they
You're
wanted to
right.
buy your loyalty.
Subsidizing.
And so I'm like,
Hmm.
this is AI right now. Like ChatGPT Business wants you, Gemini wants you, Claude
Absolutely.
wants you. So they're going to lose money on whatever tokens you're spending and how much their, hardware costs are in order to get you stuck using that because they know that's like a high friction thing to leave. If you're used to having everything automated, you're not going
Yeah.
anywhere. And so I'm like, this might be like a little golden age of, onboarding AI products because in the future I can just see like it's gonna be $5.99 a month for this one and $3.99 for that one, and everything's an upsell and you use too many tokens and
Yeah. Remember
and
the the streams for videos
oh
for
yeah,
used to be so inexpensive. Oh, so much
yes,
cheaper than cable, whatever. But now every little thing you need pay money, and you end up paying a lot more than you
that's
used
it.
to.
But we like
Hmm.
on the lawyer aspect, and this is something this is like table stakes for lawyers, but
Hmm.
Gemini, if you're a workspace user at least, they don't train on
Hmm.
your data. ChatGPT
Hmm.
has
Yeah.
like a business plan where they won't, but if you're a
Hmm.
consumer user, they're just trained on all of it. So I tell
Yeah.
lawyers, don't use consumer ChatGPT. You don't know what they're going
Yes.
to do with that
Hmm.
stuff.
Workspace is awesome.
And
Yes.
so you've got kind of security built into it,
Hmm.
privacy built into it, and stuff like that. So, that really helps. And
Yeah.
it makes it where you can take someone who's like inexperienced with an issue, and it can even help train them. Because you mentioned gems earlier, and so
Hmm.
we have a different practice areas. And so if you're on the
Hmm.
phone, we get a lot of
Hmm.
leads still over the phone. We get some online, email, chatbots, and stuff, but you need to know the workflow. So we used to have these
Hmm.
charts and all this stuff, and we still do. But we also have a little gem, and you can go, do we take this kind of case in this county? And it'll go, yes, no, maybe, here's who to call. So I created little phone assistant gems. So,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
they have something to talk to that's right in front of them.
Right. It
And
can
so,
point to any. documents in your Google Drive and pull that information. I mean, it's just amazing.
Well, and when you flatten this experience across all Google products, like
Hmm.
Microsoft is going to have something to compete with that, right? Because everyone's addicted
Yeah.
to Word, but when Gemini doesn't talk to Word, right? It only talks to Google Docs. Are people going to switch, right? Because Word people are loyal.
Yeah.
Lawyers used to use Word Perfect, which, oh my gosh, I hated that product. That was a real weird niche to our industry.
Really.
But Google, I use Google Docs. No one else does, I think, at my firm. I think it's great. But most people are like, this sucks. I like Word. I'm like, ugh. But
Hmm.
once the AI ecosystem's so strong, like it's gonna get you to start using stuff maybe you didn't used to. I'll
Yeah.
give you an example. Like you do a big search in Notebook or something, and it'll go, hey, do you want me to export this to Google Docs or just Gemini? You want me to export this to Google Docs? And you're like, maybe I will. And then all of a sudden you're like, this isn't
Hmm.
that bad. And so I see
Yeah.
what they're
It's
doing. Those guys are
crazy.
smart. They know what's going on.
Oh yeah. I mean, Google has always done very well from the business side, but Microsoft also have a Copilot. They have their ecosystem as well. They have their AI, which is Microsoft Copilot, that's integrated into all their SharePoint, email, and
Outlook,
the
boo.
Excel sheet and Word and
Yeah.
PowerPoint, you name it. All of it, all of that. It's very similar to the Google ecosystem, but
Well, and they
that
have the
just
advantage of having the operating system too. So
hmm
it can
hmm
really nag you like, shouldn't you be using Copilot, buddy? You know, it's like whenever
yeah.
you use Google search on your iPhone, it's
Mhm.
like, don't you really, you want to use Chrome, right? Right? Wouldn't that be
Mhm.
fine? And you're like, no, I'm not going to do it. You know, there's constant nagging now with our
Yeah,
electronics, just nonstop nagging.
yeah,
So,
yeah. Well, one last question. I mean, not last question. One interesting point. I wanted to ask you about this
yeah,
before, before the end of it.
sure.
You once had a judge on death row write a manifesto about your
Oh,
demise. I wanted to hear more about
yeah.
that.
There's when you go through life and you look back, there's some things that are just so weird, and you're like, I can't believe that thing happened to me. But I mean, I tell people this,
Mhm,
like sometimes if you look, people but do look me up or want to talk to me, they'll find this email out there. And so there's a lawyer who became like a ticket judge. We call him like a JP judge, justice of the peace, right? So he wins. He's going to do small
mhm,
claims court and
mhm,
ticket cases. And so he ends up getting charged for like stealing county property, like computer parts, and also like stealing funds from the law library. So
mhm.
he goes to trial, loses his law license, right? So he's disbarred, can't be a lawyer. Well, he ends up murdering the DA and the first assistant and the DA's wife. Like totally,
Oh my God.
there was a
Big.
situation where, everyone is freaked out. A lot of the legal community, his name was Eric Williams. I mean, I'm not keeping his name secret. He sucks. You suck,
Uh-huh.
Eric Williams. He's on death row. Um, but he sent an email to another attorney. This really bothered me. To a
Uh-huh.
CPS attorney saying, I'm going to kill Robert Guest and kill his wife and kill his kids. And this is
Oh my
before any
God.
of the murders happened. And so I just thought, I don't know if another lawyer sent me like a murder fantasy, what I would do. But this lady chose to do nothing. Like her name is Sandra. I guess I will give her a last name, but she
Uh-huh.
sucks. She didn't tell anybody. She told me because I called her. I was like, why didn't you tell anyone? I found out years later. I found out during his trial that he did this. He wrote this huge long murder fantasy over Robert Guest. And she's like, "Oh, it must have gone to spam. I must have not seen it." I was like, "Okay." And then
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
a lady wrote a book about it, and so I'm like, "Okay, I'll check this book out." And the book, she's like, "I thought he was joking," and I thought, "That's A, this is like the worst joke ever," and B,
Right. You don't
how
joke
could
about things
you
like that.
let this go by? Like you could have prevented maybe all this
Mm-hmm.
stuff. Have you would have told somebody like this guy's not getting
Mm-hmm.
elected judge? If anyone reads this letter, they're gonna go, "This guy's a psycho." But
Mm-hmm.
he's on death row, got convicted about 10 years ago, still doing appeals and stuff. But like every cable news murder show did a deal on him, Eric Williams, Kaufman County, but I was on the state bar board of directors at the time I got
Mm-hmm.
elected to represent my district. And so my badge
Mm-hmm.
would say Robert Gas Kaufman County. And they go, I've heard of that place. And I was like, yeah, we're
Mm-hmm.
the place where the lawyers are getting murdered. And so it was
Oh my gosh.
uniquely scary, but I didn't know I had to be concerned until after he was already convicted. This was put on as evidence, the letter he wrote about me, or the email, I'm sorry, during his punishment phase. So he's been convicted. Do they give him the death penalty or not? And someone puts in this email. And I'm like, good God. And
Mm-hmm.
so, I just, um, we had like 5 cases together. He was like a CPS lawyer representing kids. And I had like the parents, and I'm like, objected to them taking the kids. And CPS was a real insular, we all take care of each other system. And I came in there young and ready to just blow shit up. And I'm like, no, you're not taking my client's kids. And for some reason, man, that pushed him over the edge. And so you don't
Oh
know
wow.
really what people are thinking. You don't really know who people are. They put on this
Right.
front to kind of get their job done,
Yeah.
but they could be crazy thinking about killing you. And
Mm-hmm.
no, we lost some good people. Mark Hassey, really good prosecutor. Mike McClellan, his wife, great people. But I always look back and think just one bad moral choice to like this lady ignored this email she got, because it
Mm-hmm.
was years before the murders happened.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought this could have kind of maybe cut this thing off and we'd be in a different place. But it's
Right.
one of the, like, you don't really think about that when you go to law school, that you could be in a case that somebody wants to kill you. Because people ask me, I do criminal cases. They go, are you afraid of your criminal clients? I'm like,
Yeah.
no, no, not all. I go, I'm afraid of the family clients are the ones you worry about because if you look at
Yeah.
who gets injured or shot, it's someone loses their
Yeah.
custody case. And it's
Mm-hmm.
usually the dad, and he goes out,
Right.
decides, well, it's a lawyer's fault. I'm going to go kill him. And so there's
Yeah.
just a lot more dangerous people out there with easier access to firearms and a hatred towards the system they feel aggrieved by. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's a really dark part of the profession. It's something that, lawyers kind of talk about, but, you have no way of knowing. Like, I had no clue. I, After Eric sent that email, I still talked to him. I was the county bar president, and he was the
Mm-hmm.
treasurer of the law library fund. So we would talk. We'd like
Oh
have to
my
go to
God.
meetings together. I had no idea. And so it's just, it's something where I tell people, you never know who people are. You can work with them or work around them. They're part of, we were a small community of lawyers, a couple dozen of us. We all knew each other. And
Mm-hmm.
it's just something that when people look up Robert Guest or Kaufman County and keep digging, they eventually find this thing that happened because it was all over the national
Mm-hmm.
news. Everybody was down here. They thought it was like the cartels or the Aryan Brotherhood or something. I mean, it was nuts.
Mm-hmm.
But
It's
um,
crazy.
well, it makes you, you're like, you take every day and you've got it, do the most you can with it, enjoy your time you
Mhm.
have here, like, 'cause you never know. So
Yeah.
I still
And
keep that with me. I try to like, I'm glad to be here
yeah.
with you. This is a fun interview, live in the
Yes,
moment. This is a good
absolutely.
time, right?
Yes,
So
living on the moment.
I don't
And
want
I
to bring the
always,
room down, but it makes me
yeah.
appreciative of every day. I try to appreciate something because I could
Yeah.
not be here. Like that would suck. So,
Yeah. And I always think about like if I ever get offended by someone, I always think about, their family. If I
mhm,
want to, do something, send something angry or angry email, that's probably as much as I would do. But if I do something like want to do something like that, I think about their family. How
mhm.
their family is just sweet, innocent. They didn't have any they didn't do anything wrong. But by me punishing somebody that who did do something wrong, that therefore it punished his or her family who didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah, well,
So I would think about that.
that's a functioning moral compass. Like that's what you're
Yeah,
supposed to
and
think,
then
right?
yeah, it
But
just think how do you give peace live peacefully? Like one person was telling me that if a dog bit you, do you
mhm.
bite back? No. you're trying to avoid that dog, right?
Oh yeah.
And but you have to think that way that even though you got offended around, but move on with your life. That's my thought. And also, whenever it's possible, compliment somebody, make their day. I when I go to the grocery store, tell the
Mm,
clerk something nice about them. You work so fast today, thank you, and or you compliment their hair or something. I mean, it's genuine compliments, but
yeah.
just want those little things to just make the world a little bit better, make other people's life a little bit better. That's my thought. Yeah, if everybody can do something like that, I think we won't be in a world that have so much anger and
Well,
anxiety.
I bet on some level it makes you feel better too, though,
Hmm.
because if you're just negative all the time and like lashing
Hmm.
out at everyone, you're not a happy
No,
person. Well, now you didn't
right.
compliment my hair though. You haven't yet, at least.
Well, my husband always says he has a little bald spot.
I have a big one.
He told me that I'm very proud of my bald spot because a lot of
Yeah.
women love bald men. So maybe that's a
It's
compliment to
very
you.
convenient. Let me tell you, not going to the hair place anymore.
Oh yeah, it's
I
saving
recommend
money
it.
too. Saving money too.
But I like that. I like what you said. This is a fun part of the interview. It went from a really dark spot to like be grateful, enjoy your day.
Hmm.
I have friends who are just caught up in the news cycle, and there's a lot of bad stuff in the world. And, we should have
Hmm.
empathy for people who are going through it. But
Yeah,
when you find something that's yours and you can be grateful for, that's part of your life, like grab onto it,
absolutely.
man, because you don't know,
Yes,
And so I try
absolutely.
to live like that. And if I do, I'm happier. Now, do I always do that? I mean, no, sometimes I'm in the courtroom and I'm really angry at somebody, I'm in there to
Yeah.
win. And so lawyers, we do have
Hmm.
outlets for our aggression. Like we have a place to go if we want to disagree with somebody, but I don't
Hmm.
need to take that anywhere else. Like I don't have to, just jump on somebody because I
Yeah.
can. They say, do you like to argue? You should go to law school. But when you argue for a living, you don't want to do it in your free time. Like go live your life.
That's your job, but
Yeah.
it's not your hobby.
No, I'm not going to argue for
Right?
free. It makes me miserable, right? Who's going to do that? You can pay me to
Exactly.
argue, but it's not like, boy, I love arguing. But they tell so many people that they believe it. I'm like, you might just be a
Yeah.
jerk, though. Like, do you really, you
Right.
know?
Right. Yeah. That's a good point. Really good point. So, what's next for you? What's on the roadmap for the next 6 to 12 months?
We are trying. I got a couple answers to that. One is I'm trying to see where this industry is going to land. There's a couple of like existential threats to what we do. And I won't bore you with
Hmm.
it, but they're trying to find a way to consolidate law firms, kind of like pharmacies or veterinarians' offices. There's a lot of VC money trying to
Hmm.
figure out how to make us, just all one couple of, big computers, kind of squish the market from a bunch of
Right.
solos to like brand names, right? And
Hmm.
so,
Right.
and then like
Hmm.
Amazon law is probably going to come out someday or something. I'm trying to stay
Yeah. Yeah.
ahead of the
I mean,
market.
that's a good, definitely a good bad pros and cons to
Well,
that
you don't want to be
concept.
surprised by this because,
Hmm.
AI keeps getting better.
Hmm.
I remember I saw a graph once and it was like the number of horses in America and they charted it against the power of the internal combustion engine. And
Hmm.
it's like there's so many horses, the horses number never it's a straight line,
Hmm.
there's the same number of horses. We need a lot of horses. And then the internal combustion engine has more power than a horse. The number of horses goes down like brrr. And I'm going,
Hmm.
that could be the knowledge industry. It could need all of us until it just needs 10% of us. And so I'm trying to go, what does that
Hmm.
mean for me? What does that mean for my business? And
Yeah.
so I'm focused really on stuff you should always do anyway. The client
Hmm.
experience, right? Being efficient with their
Hmm.
funds. Like
Hmm.
what do they value? What do they want, right? They're going through an emotional experience and they want results. So how do we deliver that with these new tools, right? In a way
Hmm.
that leaves us open that if the market does change, we can change with it. Because a lot of people don't want to think it's going to change or they think lawyers are the special kind of knowledge. No one can do this. Okay. I mean, I hope they're right, but I don't build I mean, a hope is not really a business model. So I
Hmm.
think about that. And then we're always trying to grow just a little bit enough for us. We
Hmm.
expand at about a lawyer either every year, every other year. That's about our natural rate of
Hmm.
growth. And we can
Hmm.
handle that because
Hmm.
getting big as a law firm, it's good. You have all these lawyers, but You've got to take care of the clients. And when you multiply very emotional areas of law like family law and you get bigger, you've got to make sure you have enough staff to talk to the clients, to have time for the clients, because they
Yeah.
they don't want to hear just about how smart you are and how great your argument was. They want to know you're going to protect their kids and how, and you're going
Yeah.
to protect their
Mhm.
retirement and how. And
Mhm.
so you have to have people who know how to have those conversations. Um, sometimes your clients get mad at you, like you get a bad ruling. The judge just does something that you don't think you should have done.
Mhm.
Excuse me. And the client's like, "Oh my gosh, why did you do that? You lost the case." I did. They're mad at you. Like they're responding, and a lot of lawyers are very proud, and they're taught to argue. So they go back with, "Well, let me tell you all the great things I did, right?" And I tell them,
Mhm.
"Listen, that's not. You can do that. Your client's going to hate you. You need to
Mhm.
acknowledge what they're going through, right? They gave you a lot of money to go solve something that's the most important thing in the world to them. And if you don't acknowledge that, they're probably not going to like you. And then when you do great
Mhm.
work, they're still not going to like you because they think you're a jerk. And so acknowledge they're
Mhm.
vulnerable. Acknowledge this
Mhm.
is hard. I have clients like facing prison time who are less worried than clients in custody cases. And
Mhm.
so you can never get good enough at that. And lawyers get very frustrated by this. They want the work to speak for itself. Like, look, I did great prep. I gave great arguments. The client should appreciate that. Well, they don't
Mhm.
always. They appreciate like that you got what they wanted, right? Or they know how they
Yeah.
feel. They might not
Mhm.
know like how great your brief was, but they know how
Yeah.
you made them feel and the experience made them feel. And if we can
Yeah.
talk to each other about that, we can do better work. But
Yeah.
lawyers don't always like talking about feelings at all, right? They're like, I don't want to do that part of it.
Yeah. They
But
want they yeah.
it's
It's
as
like
important. Like
yeah,
I
they
said, the
probably
client,
don't invest in the emotion either.
yeah, I tell people the client wants to feel safe. They want to be protected, especially family
Mhm.
law clients, right?
Mhm.
Business clients are a little different. It's more of a calculation, right? Criminal
Mhm.
clients
Right.
just want to not go to prison usually, but
Mhm.
family clients, a very emotional experience. And like I say, we sell motions and hearings. They don't want that. They want their
Mhm.
kids. They want to
Mhm.
see them more, right? They
Mhm.
want to take care of health insurance and make sure the house
Mhm.
gets sold for a fair price, right? So
Mhm.
um, we spend a lot of time on that because the lawyers are so laser focused on doing great legal work. It can be hard to do great client work. And so
Mhm.
that's one hard thing about growing, right? Because that's a skill set you don't learn in law school. And it's kind of
Mhm.
counterintuitive, right? Because you're like, well, I did a great job. Look at this brief. It's brilliant. Well, okay,
Mhm.
but you
Mhm.
gotta know that maybe the client doesn't appreciate that as much as you do. But that we're taught in law
Mhm.
school, that's what a good job is, right? You get an A on the paper because you wrote all the cases down. But in real life, it's different. And so I always focus on that. I'm trying to stay on top of all the tech changes. Everyone's trying to sell me stuff like my new product's gonna get you more leads and save you more time and do all the this. And I'm like,
Mhm.
ugh, I don't know. But I've been doing our own marketing. I mean, my own marketing and the firm's marketing for 2 decades now. So I
Mhm.
just not interested really in any new product, but um,
Mhm.
trying to just like stay abreast of what the new things are. I will say
Mhm.
this though, I'm very happy with Gemini from the standpoint as the marketing, head of the firm. I just have to stay on top of all the Google search engine best practices. Oh gosh, whenever it came out, we had to go update the site and change all this stuff. And our backlinks good, or the
Mhm.
blog referral links good or not? Well, they used to be. Well, now they're not. Now they're a penalty and all this crap. Well, now you just ask Gemini, like, tell me Google's SEO best practices, and then look at my site and tell me. And it goes, here you go, buddy. I'm like, oh hell yeah. So huge time
That's
saver,
yeah.
right? Right. So,
Right.
but if I have
Absolutely.
it, everybody has it. But there's a real reluctance among attorneys to learn these things because they don't want to.
Mhm.
They want to be good. They went to law school to be a great lawyer, not to learn
Mhm.
about SEO, not to learn about, schema, JSON coding and all this. They don't care, right? But
Yeah.
if you'll just learn a
Yeah.
little bit, right,
Yeah.
you'll make better decisions. And plus, a lot of tech companies, they think lawyers are just stupid when it comes to technology and they can just charge us whatever for garbage. And usually they're right because lawyers make a lot of fear-based purchases. They're like their phone isn't ringing,
Yeah.
so like I better buy
Yeah.
something for the phone to ring. And so
Yeah.
we're
Well,
easy marks, right, for
yeah.
salespeople.
Well, I mean, that's why sometimes it's better off to hire a consultant because we have seen they pay this much price, they pay that much price because we know the price point. So it's very hard for us to be fooled
Well, I,
into, because we know we work with different law firms, and work with the vendors. We know yeah, we just have
well, I
information.
looked, I looked at your website. I did. I looked at Purple Cloud,
Mm,
and the amount of hours I spent to build a functioning tech stack from like
mhm,
the call to the VoIP to the
mhm,
calendar to
mhm,
the management system to the payment system to the bookkeeping system, right? To the
mhm,
accountant, right? And then back to,
mhm,
client feedback and,
mhm.
insurance and all the parts.
Reputation management, all of
Okay,
that.
took me forever. I bought a
Mhm.
lot of crap that didn't work. So I
Right.
like our tech stack now.
Uh-huh.
But there was nobody who goes, "Oh, I can make a lawyer tech stack for you" back then. Like it didn't exist. I just had to
Right.
do it and then do it till I got it right. And it took
Hmm.
forever. So
Hmm.
if you're offering a shortcut to some lawyer, I'll be like, "Hey, just take a look at it," because having a contract with the wrong product just makes you mad every month. You're like, "Ooh,
Oh
what
yeah,
is this
yeah,
product?" You know?
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Every product has pros and cons, and it fits the certain size of firm and fits a certain practice area. And also there's a lot of gotchas. And so you kind of need to know those things. The pricing is not always very transparent. Actually, it's ne almost never transparent. So yeah, definitely. I think hiring a consultant can save you a ton of money.
Well, and most lawyers don't have enough time to do it or to get good
Exactly.
at it, or they buy
Mhm.
one thing and either stick with it because they bought it and they don't want to keep evaluating products.
Right.
But
And yeah,
no, you're right. It's like when you look at a lot of things like Clio has tiered pricing, my case and all that. And
oh
you're like, what do
yeah.
I need? What
Hmm.
am I going to use? You don't even know. You just start
And then
signing up for stuff.
also a lot of time, after they bought it, they don't even use it. Like I heard one of the law, it's a district attorney. They had
Hmm.
110 lawyers
It's a lot.
and yeah, and they bought co-counsel, but
Hmm.
not using it. So this is change management and other things that it needs to be considered as well to ensure that every person is utilizing those tools and maximize the benefits of those tools. Yeah.
Yeah. And
So
I
yeah,
mean,
anyway, one last question. If you have
go.
a magic button
A magic button.
to change what or to improve or solve one of the bottlenecks you have, what would that be?
Improve bottlenecks that I have. What would the magic button do? Um, I've got a couple of different products that use different backend AIs and don't talk to each other. And
Hmm.
we've built workarounds, but some other like I asked this now. This is like my first question. I'm like, what's your backend? Like, what are you doing? Is this
Hmm.
ChatGPT? What is this? Right?
Hmm.
Because none of them are Gemini, by the way. Um, I
Hmm.
wish I had a way to make my products talk to each other from like, my VoIP, because now we got it where it works with Clio. It automatically uploads, which is good.
Hmm.
Um, but you also need to work with your, client management, your CRM, whatever. I wish they would just talk to each other. I wish they could speak together because a lot of things are still this one will talk to this one, but not to this one. This will talk to this one, not to this one. And there's a lot of emails back and forth because this feels like it's about to be automated, but it's not. So I
Hmm.
feel like the real efficiency gains that are going to make the firm better and really protect the firm because, like
Hmm.
a lot of lawyers get ripped off because, it's hard to do like keep up with all your cash and your accounts receivable and your bills. And,
Yeah.
and then clients can fall through the cracks because the right person isn't getting notice of something. I
Yeah.
wish the AIs we had and the software we had was better at coming together as a little computer unit and solving
Hmm.
problems. Because right
Yeah.
now it's still very fragmented. Now,
Right.
will
And
that
then
happen in the near future? I don't know. I hope it
yeah.
does. But
Yeah, I think even in your situation, I think you are probably better than 99% of the lawyers out there,
Oh,
knowing the technologies and
can I quote you on that? I need that. Like, I'm gonna
yeah,
frame that.
absolutely, absolutely.
Hell yeah.
However, yeah, this issue is still there. How do you keep up with all the AI changes? How do you keep up with all the software updates? And what are some new things you do? And I think it is very hard to have a full-time job as a lawyer and also have to deal with this.
Well, and all the headaches of running a mid-sized firm,
Mm-hmm.
now that I'm not doing like every case, that's
Mm-hmm.
what that time I've got that I'm not in
Mm-hmm.
court all the time as much as I
Mm-hmm.
was. I
Mm-hmm.
spend it on those things
Yeah.
because if I can make the system flow better, I make all of our lawyers better. All
Yeah,
the clients have a
exactly.
better experience. So to me, that's the problem I'm always looking at
Mm-hmm.
is getting feedback from the clients, checking in with them, automating it so that a person doesn't have to do it. So the
Yeah.
people can spend their time talking to our very human clients, right? And
Yes,
so
absolutely.
to me,
Mm-hmm.
that's the highest value add we have in a lot of cases is helping the clients through the process, right? Like the legal
Mm-hmm.
work's great. And that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of just table stakes to work at my firm. You do great legal work. But
Mm-hmm.
the clients that do the best here, a lot of the times have like the highest emotional intelligence. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so AI can't
Mm-hmm.
really fake that. But what you can do is just increase dialogue and build in
Mm-hmm.
systems to gather information from clients. Like hearings are a big stress factor. So like you have a hearing, your ex is there, the judge is there, your kids are going to be something that's talked about. Like just check in with them after. How are you feeling? You okay?
Mm-hmm.
You know? And so um, there's things I need out of these different products. Like Clio had an AI. We tried it out. Didn't really work for us. I'm hoping they improve it. But I just those are
Sure,
my
yeah.
magic button
Mm-hmm.
thing is in my
Mm-hmm.
mind, there's a product that could do all this. Maybe you'll build it. It doesn't exist right now, so
Mhm. All right. Well, thank you so much, Robert. And I really enjoyed our conversation. It's certainly very, very interesting from your how you started your
oh thanks.
entrepreneurship to today, that all your success is learned from you, even from the tech side, how much you love Gemini, which is really got confirmation to my thought as well. And yeah, so before we go, could you
Mhm.
let our listener know the best way to get in touch with you
With
and follow
me,
your work being done
sure. I mean,
at
if you just need the law firm, it's guestandgray.com,
Mhm.
Gray, and it's an A&D, not an ampersand. But I'm Robert
Mhm.
Guest. I'm easy to find. Just look up Robert Guest Forney. I'm all over the place. You know, you can
Mhm.
just reach out, say, "What's up, Robert? I saw that, podcast today. It was great." But I do, especially earlier in my career, I would help like older lawyers. I was on the law and technology committee, and I said, got a lot of grievances against older attorneys because they're running like a paper system and like, we got to fix that.
Mhm.
And I advise like a reverse kind of mentorship program where they get like a younger like law student to come in and go, "Hey, why don't we put this in like a calendar software, because they would still have notebooks."
Mhm.
And
Oh. Mhm.
it's something, I just want to make it because if you help those clients and those lawyers, like they'll have better experience. And I don't know. I still believe in things. I still want things to be better. I'm not super cynical yet. I like that, but
Mhm.
just you need to find Robert Guest. Just look up Robert Guest, Forney, Texas lawyer. You'll find me, and
Mhm.
hopefully you won't. It's not. Hopefully it's not because you got arrested. Like then you'll definitely need to find me. But hopefully it's for a good thing, right?
Yeah. Well, we will have your firm's link in our YouTube description. And thank you all for tuning in the human side of the story. If you have enjoyed this episode, please follow us and for more. I'm May Lingwood, and we will see you next time. Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye. Mhm.
Okay, I'm staying on.